You already know you're exhausted. What you don't know is that the exhaustion is the product. You're not failing to be productive. You're succeeding at being consumed. There's a difference, and that difference is costing you everything. I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with it for a second. When's the last time you did nothing and didn't feel like crap about it? Not a rest day you planned, not a recovery protocol, just nothing. No podcast in your ears, no book you're supposed to be reading, no plan you're quietly building in the back of your head. Because here's the thing most people won't admit, they can't do it. They try to sit still, and within 3 minutes the guilt kicks in. The voice shows up, you should be doing something, and we've decided that voice is ambition. We've decided it's good. We've built entire industries around feeding it more material. But I've been thinking, what if that voice isn't ambition? What if it's just noise? What if the most dangerous thing you could do right now, to everything competing for your attention, to every system designed to keep you running, is to stop? Not forever, not laziness, something way more strategic than that. Let me show you what I mean. Picture a guy who builds his entire identity around output. Not success exactly, output, volume, the feeling of moving. He reads every morning, works out twice a day, tracks his sleep, journals, takes cold showers, has a side project, has another side project, subscribes to 4 newsletters about optimizing the first side project. From the outside, it looks like discipline. It looks like someone who has their life together. But if you could see inside that guy's head, it's a disaster in there, because all of that motion, every ritual, every system, every optimized routine is just a very elaborate way of running from one specific ugly feeling. I am still not enough. And the more he builds, the louder it gets, because achievement doesn't silence that voice, it just upgrades it. Now the bar is higher, now the gap between where he is and where he's supposed to be is even wider. That's not a hustle story, that's an addiction story. The mentor in this story doesn't show up with a productivity framework. He doesn't hand over a book or a 5-step system. He does something way more violent than that. He stops the guy, completely, forces a full stop. An experience that doesn't let you optimize your way through it. Something that strips the motion away and leaves you with nothing but the raw, unfiltered question underneath all of it. Who are you when you're not producing anything? Most people have never sat inside that question long enough to hear an answer. Because the apps are right there. The podcast queue is right there. The next task is always right there. But the answer is the whole thing. It's where this starts. Here's what I want you to understand about the people who actually break through. The ones who build something real, not just the appearance of something real. They don't do it by being consistent. Not in the way you mean when you use that word. Consistency, the way most people practice it, is just daily mediocrity management. Show up a little bit every day. Do your minimum viable effort. Stack the habit. Trust the compound interest. And look, that works for maintenance. It works for not losing what you have. But the people who actually build something, who produce work that hits different, that lands with actual weight, they operate in a completely different mode. Think about the kind of obsession that looks insane from the outside. The person who disappears for 3 months and comes back with something that took everyone else 3 years. The creator who agonizes over one single detail that 90% of the audience will never consciously notice, but will feel. The craftsman who throws out 6 months of work because it wasn't exact. That's not grinding. That's a different relationship with time and energy entirely. Because the question isn't how much are you putting in. The question is, from what state are you putting it in? A drained person working daily produces drained work. It might be technically correct. It might even be impressive by normal standards. But it doesn't have that thing, the density, the aliveness, that makes someone stop and actually pay attention. The work that cuts through noise comes from someone who had something to give, who wasn't running on fumes when they made it. That changes everything about how you think about rest, stillness, and what you're actually building when you're not building. Now, then you need to ration, and this is important. I'm not describing monks. I'm not selling you a fantasy of the perfectly centered, ego-dissolved, enlightened creator who glides through life untouched. Because the other character in this story is a mess. He's scattered. He starts things he doesn't finish. His apartment looks like a browser with 47 tabs open. He says yes to things he hates, avoids things he wants, and makes choices that, from the outside, look almost deliberately self-defeating. He's probably the most relatable person in the room. And here's the thing about him. He's not a cautionary tale. He's a mirror, because you've done that. I've done that. We've all spent time building a version of our life that was more about how it looked to other people than how it actually felt to us. We've all chased goals that we never really examined, never really asked, wait, whose goal is this? The comedy of it, and it is kind of funny in a dark way, is how seriously we take it. The anxiety, the guilt, the shame spirals when we skip the workout or miss the journaling streak. As if the algorithm of our life is watching and will penalize us for taking a day off from becoming better. That guy with the messy apartment isn't failing at self-improvement. He's just honest about the fact that the whole framework was slightly broken to begin with. There's something worth preserving in that honesty. The tragedy, the part that's not funny, is when that same guy finally meets something or someone that shows him what he actually wants, what he'd actually build if he wasn't too busy performing the motions of building. And he hesitates too long. He waits for the right moment, the right condition, the right version of himself to show up first, and the moment passes, because it always does. Let's be real about something. The methodology I'm describing has a price, because the flip side of strategic stillness is that when you do move, you have no excuse for moving poorly. The serpent that waits can't then miss the strike. That's the deal. And that pressure, the pressure of having held back, having conserved, having chosen your moment, can be its own kind of weight. Ask anyone who's ever sat on a project they care about, who's refused to rush it, who said, not yet, not yet, not yet, and then had to face the moment where yet has finally arrived. The paralysis that comes from caring too much is real. The way a single wrong detail can feel like a structural failure. The way you can look at something you've spent months building and suddenly see only what's broken about it. That's not perfectionism in the precious sense. That's the cost of standards, and it's part of the contract. The people who produce work with real weight aren't immune to that crack in the middle of the night where everything looks wrong. They just have a different relationship to it. They don't let the crack mean the whole thing is ruined. They hold it, breathe through it, fix what can be fixed, and release it anyway. Because done and imperfect still moves. Waiting for perfect doesn't. Here's something that might frustrate you. This story, the one you've been sitting inside for the past 10 minutes, it doesn't end the way stories are supposed to end. There's no clean finish line, no moment where the guy crosses over and becomes the final version of himself. No montage, no resolution that wraps everything up with proof that the philosophy worked. And I want to argue that this is not a flaw, because the whole premise of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, is that there is no final destination. The tail is the beginning. The ending loops back. The arrival is just a more honest awareness of where you are. The failure of most self-development frameworks is that they promise you a version of yourself that you will eventually become, and then be permanently, without further maintenance. And when that doesn't happen, when you achieve the goal and feel nothing, or feel it briefly and then lose it, the system blames you. Your consistency wasn't consistent enough. Your habits weren't deep enough. Your mindset wasn't right. The Ouroboros says it's not supposed to end. You're not supposed to be fixed. The work is not to become a different person. It's to stop running from the person you already are. That's where the energy is, not in the endless improvement, in the stopping, in the knowing. So let me bring you back to where we started, back to that question, the one I opened with, about what separates the people who build something real from the people who just accumulate evidence of trying. It's not work ethic, it's not discipline, not in the conventional sense, it's relationship to stillness. The predator doesn't chase, it doesn't grind. It reads the terrain, finds its position, goes completely quiet, and waits until the odds are so obvious that movement is almost redundant. And then it moves, not frantically, not desperately, with the kind of calm efficiency that only comes from not having wasted itself in 100 smaller skirmishes first. That's the operating system shift. From hamster to snake, from the anxious, dopamine-chasing, self-help consuming, always almost good enough treadmill, to something older, something that operates on a different clock entirely. You stop optimizing your life because you've decided you're broken. You start moving only when the move is surgical, only when the energy behind it is full, not scraped together from the bottom of a cup you've been draining for months. As the Stoics put it, not in those exact words, but in substance. The obstacle becomes the way. And the deepest obstacle for most people reading this isn't lack of ambition, isn't lack of information, isn't lack of a good morning routine. It's the inability to stop, to sit in the uncomfortable quiet and not immediately reach for something to fill it. To trust that the energy accumulating in the stillness is not wasted, it's loading. The Ouroboros doesn't rest because it's weak. It rests because it knows exactly when it will strike. All right, full transparency. This video is doing something that this platform actively makes harder. The algorithm doesn't reward depth. It doesn't push slow burn content. It compresses, clips, and optimizes for whatever gets the most immediate reaction, which is not the same thing as what actually lands. So if this hits something real for you, there's a version of this that goes deeper. No compressions, no platform restrictions, no 3-minute limit on how long I'm allowed to keep your attention before the system decides to offer you something else. That version lives somewhere the algorithm doesn't reach. Link is below. Come find it if you're serious. If you're not ready, that's fine too. But you felt something in this. Don't waste it scrolling.